August 20th, 1910 didn't appear out of nowhere. The stage for one of the worst fires in American history had been set months before. The winter of 1909 had been unusually mild, melting snow early and leaving the northern Rockies, stretching across Idaho, Montana, and Washington, unusually dry. By spring, rivers that normally swelled with snowmelt were reduced to trickles, and by June, the forests were tinder dry. Lightning from dry thunderstorms ignited hundreds of small fires, while sparks from trains, campfires, and logging operations added countless more. The United States Forest Service, created just 5 years earlier in 1905, was still a fledgling organization. Underfunded, understaffed, and largely inexperienced in handling fires of this scale, the agency scrambled to respond. Recruitment posters called for men who could ride for days, fight fires, and survive in the wilderness without losing their heads, a job for the toughest of men. By mid-August, estimates suggest between 1,000 and 3,000 separate fires were smoldering across the region, creating a patchwork of danger too vast for any single team to contain. Smoke thickened the air, the sun glowed dim and red through the haze, and the mountains seemed to hold their breath, waiting for disaster to strike. President William Howard Taft even sent 4,000 soldiers to help combat the flames, but it was like trying to put out an ocean with a bucket. The summer of 1910 was a perfect storm of human activity, extreme dryness, and natural lightning strikes. The forests of the northern Rockies were primed, waiting for the spark that would ignite one of the deadliest wildfires in United States history. Saturday, August 20th, 1910 brought the disaster that everyone had feared but could not stop. A powerful cold front swept into the northern Rockies, but instead of rain, it brought hurricane-force winds with gusts over 70 miles per hour. These winds turned the thousands of small fires into a single, unstoppable inferno, later known as the Big Blowup. Flames flattened and raced across the forest floor, while massive trees were uprooted and tossed like matchsticks. The fire created its own weather, sending superheated air spiraling and launching embers miles ahead, igniting new fires that trapped entire crews in seconds. The roar of the firestorm was described by survivors as a sound like 1,000 freight trains, drowning out all thought. Firefighters were caught in a desperate race for survival, with the flames moving faster than a galloping horse. One of the deadliest moments occurred at Setzer Creek, where 28 men in a firefighting crew were overrun and killed in the chaos. Passenger trains scrambled to evacuate towns in the path of the fire. One train carrying 1,000 residents of Avery, Idaho, raced over a bridge surrounded by flames, barely reaching safety through a nearby tunnel. Amid the chaos, Forest Ranger Ed Pulaski became a symbol of courage. Leading 44 men who were trapped in the inferno, he guided them to an old mine shaft. As the fire raged over the entrance, Pulaski used his revolver and quick thinking to maintain order, ensuring that 40 of the 45 men survived. His actions demonstrated extraordinary bravery in a firestorm that moved faster than any human could run, saving lives that would otherwise have been lost in the blaze. After 2 days of relentless destruction, rain finally arrived on August 23, 1910, bringing the inferno to an end. The devastation was staggering. At least 87 people had perished, 78 of them firefighters, and over 3 million acres of forest were incinerated, an area larger than the state of Connecticut. Entire towns had been wiped from the map, and the economic loss, adjusted for today's value, would exceed $1 billion. The smoke traveled thousands of kilometers, darkening skies as far away as New England and leaving soot on ice in Greenland. The fire's impact went far beyond immediate destruction. It transformed the United States Forest Service, proving the necessity of a professional and well-funded firefighting organization. Public attention turned to the heroism of men like Ed Pulaski, and Congress responded by doubling the Forest Service budget. A century-long policy of aggressive fire suppression began, creating a network of lookout towers, access roads, and elite firefighting teams, including the introduction of smokejumpers in later decades. Yet this policy had unintended consequences. By suppressing natural low-intensity fires for decades, forests became unnaturally dense, allowing dead wood and underbrush to accumulate. This fuel buildup made future fires even more destructive, setting the stage for modern megafires. Smokey Bear, created in 1944, embodied the philosophy of total fire prevention, spreading a message that shaped American attitudes toward forest management for generations. The Great Fire of 1910 was more than a disaster, it was a turning point. It highlighted the raw power of nature and the limits of human control, while forcing a nation to rethink its approach to forest safety, preparedness, and firefighting. The Great Fire of 1910 was a crucible that reshaped both the landscape and the nation's approach to wildfire. In its aftermath, survivors, officials, and communities faced years of rebuilding. Entire towns had been destroyed, and the northern Rockies forests were left scarred and vulnerable. Recovery was slow, with displaced families forced to find new livelihoods, while the U.S. Forest Service struggled to restore the burned areas and prevent soil erosion. The fire also cemented Ed Pulaski's legacy. His leadership during the Inferno became a symbol of courage under impossible circumstances, and his invention of the Pulaski tool, a combination of an axe and a hoe, revolutionized firefighting. Pulaski's story inspired generations of firefighters to prepare for disasters with discipline, strategy, and respect for nature's power. The lessons learned from the fire guided future forest management for decades. Policies were implemented to monitor fire-prone areas, train specialized crews, and invest in early warning systems. However, the fire also illustrated the unintended consequences of aggressive suppression, showing how overmanaged forests could store massive amounts of fuel and become tinderboxes for future megafires. Even today, the events of August 20th to 23rd, 1910 echo through the American West. The Great Fire serves as a stark reminder of nature's unpredictability, the limits of human control, and the need to balance prevention with ecological understanding. It stands as one of the deadliest and most transformative wildfires in history, leaving a legacy of heroism, tragedy, and crucial lessons for modern firefighting and forest management.